No, I'm not going to bother doing that. No, I'll try to do that next time. Hey, if you're checking in on the archive, and you're seeing this from the very beginning, if you've been with us before, hey, my first viewer, I got some new surroundings. Yeah, so yeah, I moved into another room in my house, in my apartment, into my living room, my living part of my living space. Though I spend more time probably in the bedroom going to sleep, or actually that's probably the second place. I probably spend more time in my office, but this is what I walked into, and I enjoy it. So hey, Irene. Yeah, yeah, so good to see you. You know, and I'm also trying. Again, if you notice, I'm a little further away from the screen than I usually do. Irene, you know, one of the things I do is I always like to prep by saying early is on time and on time. It's not late, but it's there. And so as I let Facebook build the audience, which is what they call it, you know, we've got less than 3 minutes to 12 here, and I always start on time. As a speaker, it's always important. Your reputation should be that you start on time without expectation. Hey, Renee, and happy birthday anniversary. Renee Burke is celebrating a new 365. So she's one today, and she's got 364 to go. One of the things I always say, Renee, when people say, oh, happy belated birthday, I said, it ain't late. I'll be this blessing all year. So celebrate your birthday all year. You're going to be this age, this blessing all year. Don't let it stop with today. You know, I'm going to talk about that at all times here. It's always about celebration. And so happy birth anniversary, Renee. And we've got less than 2 minutes. Another thing, by the way, I always say birth anniversary. My mother used to always say, you only have one birthday, and everything else is a celebration or an anniversary of that date. So it's a birth date anniversary. Okay? You know what? Again, sidetrack, but you never know when topics take you to different places. As a speaker, one of the things you want to be conscious of, and by the way, when I say that, I'm also talking about you who may speak at a career day, anything, or even just in a conversation giving someone advice. But as you become more comfortable with your message and what you say, then you get to express that comfort. See, when my mother died, I used to in my speaking business, which I've been in now 23 years, I used to always say, well, my mother used to say, then when my mother died, and the first time that I said, my mother used to say, it hit me right there on stage because, you know, before I was saying it as I was growing up, my mother used to say, but then when she was gone and I said my mother used to say, it was finite. So sometimes your message will be finite. Someone may never see you again, never hear from you again. You know, we always say this could be the last day, but sometimes we don't live that way. I thoroughly believe this could be the last message that I give you. And so I want to make sure that it's a strong message and it's an important message. Every conversation is important. So try to be who you are and allow that last conversation, that last word that you have with someone, be sincere and authentic about what you have come to deliver. Because you know I'll always say, choose your messengers carefully. And each of us has a message. It's so important to choose our messengers carefully and recognize that we are also the messenger. So let's get started and talk about power. I chose to talk about power because in last week's broadcast, someone mentioned how someone can be intimidated by their power and their status. So what I've decided to do is I went back into my archives and I've just chosen 3 poems that I've written that I'm going to read to you and perform. Hey, Kamafi, all right, nephew. I'm going to just read 3 poems to you, and I think all of them will address a lot of topics. Again, as you know, you can always send me questions in the feed, and I can respond to those if necessary, if you need. But then I'll tell you why that second poem, I posted it in advance, and I hope you got a chance to read it. But even if you didn't, at least now when you go back, I'll be pointing out a specific part of that poem that I think needs to be seen rather than heard. Or at least it becomes more effective and impactful when we hear it. So the first poem I want to read you is one from my book, Your Name Came to Mind. And this poem is called We've All Got Power. I wrote this poem in 1998. We've all got power. Start over. We've all got power. You've got to like power. Power needs a home with a welcome mat. Power needs to know just where it's at. Power needs to hear its name again and again, because power gets stronger and sometimes forgets where it's been. Power doesn't have a favorite body, race, or sex. Power is what you make it and how you do what you do next. Power doesn't broadcast reason, and like this poem, it's happy to give a little rhyme. But you've got to like power to get the most out of it and use it best. On earth, you get a taste of your power, and when you like it, it's no longer a test. I chose to open with that one because, as you know, one of my theme for this year, and in fact my rebranding of what I'm doing with my life and my purpose, is putting the pieces of the puzzle together, recognizing that life is about going from one puzzle to the next. And you're either a small, medium, or large piece of every puzzle. But the truth is, whether you consider yourself small, medium, or large, without you, any puzzle is incomplete. Because see, right now, for instance, I may be the big piece of this puzzle because I'm doing the broadcast. So maybe you're a medium piece of the puzzle based on how you respond. Maybe you consider yourself a small piece because today you're feeling real down and you really need a certain message. However, we all have feelings. Let's not slow down. Let's not discount how we feel. You see, feelings are neither good nor bad. They just exist. So it's okay when you feel bad. It's okay to be angry. It's important to be angry and to be upset, just as it's important to be happy and enthusiastic and effervescent. So emotions, and feelings are neither right or wrong. It's what we do with them that makes a difference. So whether you feel you're a small, medium, or large piece of the puzzle, without you, the puzzle is incomplete. And everybody, that's why this poem is called We've All Got Power. Every single one of us is powerful. We don't have to be the main source of power in every situation that we embark upon. What we need to do is recognize that we are powerful and we have power. So are you making sure that you use your power or contribute your power to the situation? A lot of times it's just like I say, a lot of times when people say, well, so-and-so, they won't let me do such and such. Who the hell is they? One of my acronyms is they, T-H-E-Y, the haters, especially you. See, sometimes we stop ourselves from doing something and then we blame someone else for what we don't achieve. The truth is, if we are not, for instance, we'll say, well, when we're interviewing for the job, right, we'll say, well, if it's for me, God will bless me with it. If it's for me, I'll get it. Then and we've got this great positive attitude. Then as soon as we don't get the job, or even if it's a promotion, then suddenly it's like, well, it's discrimination, it's age discrimination, it's sex, it's race, and then we come up with all these reasons. They never want to let us get ahead. They never want to give us a chance. What happened to that? If it's for me, God, if it's for me, I'll get it. See, don't let your faith get slapped by a coincidence. Or rather, actually, it's going to get slapped, but don't let it knock you down, and certainly don't let it keep you down. If it's not for you, you won't get it. And that's okay, because it's for someone else. Everything is for someone else. Hey, Jackie, yeah, you're right. It's so good to have you back. It's been tough for me to do these without you, because you started with me at the beginning. But, recognize that power is an important source for all of us to recognize and accept. Those of you who I see, for instance, I know Irene, I know Renee, I know Jackie, and I know Kamathi on here, but the three I named, first of all, Happy Mother's Day. There's a power source. You've got a lot of power as a mother. You've got a lot of power as a wife. You've got a lot of power as a female. Today, by the way, is International Women's Day. where there's a post on my site from one of my former students at Purdue, who she gives some of the background about International Women's Day. You've got power. So it's just a matter of making sure that you celebrate that power. I love you too, Jackie. You know it. So also, what that poem does, like what I like to point out, is it recognizes just as easily as I'm saying to you, you've all got power. Wow, you know what? Sometimes we abuse power. Power can be abused, and that can be one of the toughest things about it. Power. For instance, in the line it says, because power gets stronger and sometimes forgets where it's been. Power forgets where it's been because that's where we get abusive. We get so used to being in charge that sometimes we start to devalue the people who we are in charge of. Parents, even though I always say, hey, Irene, even though I always say, recognize that how you impact your children. Children mock and mirror adults. If you're the adult that they mock and mirror, you shouldn't have a problem with it. But you've got a lot of power over your kids. And you have to learn, one of the toughest things for any parent is to learn to allow their child to be an adult. It's one of those things that I think y'all learn at PU, Parent University. I think that's one of those things that you'll learn is to say, I'll always be your mother. I'll always be your father. And, even though it's something that we have to use to put kids in check when they're younger, as they mature, as they get older, back up off of that. Or recognize that, yes, you will always be their mother. You will always be their father. However, they will be their own woman or man. And let them mature. And you had to do it. So it's interesting. Look, I'm not going to get into a big child, how we treat children and parenting seminar. Maybe we'll do that another time. But I always like to hold a high esteem on parenting. Happy Mother's Day, happy Father's Day. Because children don't come with a rule book. And you have done the best you can. Don't let people minimize how important you are as a parent. Again, there's that power that you have. Don't let people minimize that importance. Or recognize that they will, but don't you dare minimize it. And try not to abuse your parent. I'm sorry. Try not to abuse your power. See what or you can misread something, but help us complete that puzzle of everybody having power and recognizing it. Sometimes even as the parent in the situation, or even as the supervisor at your job, you don't have to be in charge. It's important to recognize that you have to let your staff make some decisions. That's part of the deal. You are in a guiding capacity. When I worked at the Wall Street Journal, that was one of the things that I did. I don't micromanage, and I didn't like being micromanaged. I gave people the power to do what they needed to do. Now, when they saw that they were stuck, my job as a manager, your job as a parent, is to reconnect them to the path that they want to be on. Because if they want to be on the path, they're going to do a better job. If you force me to walk a path, number one, I'm going to be hesitant because it's your choice, not mine. And so the steps that I take may not be fruitful steps because remember we used to play that game, Mother, may I? Can I take a giant step? No, you can take a baby step. And so if it's a path that you're forcing me on, I'm going to take baby steps to start out. And then in the process of me taking baby steps because I'm not confident, then what's going to happen? You're going to say, come on, get it going. And now you're starting to beat me down because now I've become less confident because I'm not living up to your expectations. Ladies and gentlemen, everything is circular. And we can either decide that we're caught up in a vicious cycle, or we can recognize that we're caught up in a victorious cycle. And in the victorious cycle, things go round and round. Mistakes happen as these things go round and round. Can you recover from the mistake fast enough or at a good enough, a decent enough pace to help the person get back on track? That's really what we want to do. And isn't that what our parents have done for us? So let's make sure that we do the same for them. Meanwhile, as I connect that poem, We've All Got Power, I connect it to my book, Ac-Firmations, where my affirmation for power is POWER. Praying our wealth is eternal reward. Praying our wealth is eternal reward. In other words, if we are true to who we are, we may not, we may, as much as I say we've all got power, and it's a great thing to recognize your power while you're here, but part of my power is and I'm okay with it, is in my legacy. See, I know that when I'm gone, how I will be viewed by my nieces and nephews is number one on my list, and then my friends and family, and there's no necessary hierarchy, but how I'll be remembered, it's when the people say, wow, and so was here, they did this, and so, eternal life is what's important to me. That's where I will get my wealth, in the memory of people have of how I shared and how they shared with me. So I really always appreciate that. Take a quick break to say, hey, Pam, what's happening? Hey, what's up, Anna? And what's going on, Jeanette? Good to see y'all. And Irene, I don't know, I'm not reading those things, but I'm sure you see in the background, you see the Jester's hat. Irene and I are in a group called AATH, Association for Applied and Therapeutic Humor. And a good friend of mine, Jay Pierce Barber, gave me the Jester's hat. And we talk about laughter a lot. And we study the impact and the positive effect of healthy humor. So I'm always going to make you laugh, and and that becomes a key. So my Jester hat is one of the fun things, one of the fun props that I've been gifted from the group. So make sure you understand your power. This next poem I wrote in 1997. That one was in 88, 97. Now this is the one that I posted on the site. It's called Power Unveiled. When we realize how truly powerful we are, we must now overcome fear. When I wanted, I saw what to strive for. As my need grew, I knew just what to do. And now that I'm there, I must choose what I can share. For the air up here is new, and its exhilaration is not so unfamiliar to my ego, nor uncomfortable to my touch, unpalatable to my taste, illogical or unrecognizable. Yet my neighbors are doubt, disbelief, and caution. And as I consider their comfort, they exhibit more unrest, and I become prone to shut them out. Instead, I invite them up. See, that's the poem I wanted you to see, and that last segment is the one that I want to somewhat focus on. But before I focus on that, let me go back to the beginning. Now, when we realize how truly powerful we are, we must now overcome fear. So just like when in the first poem where I talked about we've all got power and we all have to recognize that we're an important piece of the puzzle, small, medium, or large, once we recognize that, now we have to overcome fear. Because just as I talked about abusing of the abuse of power, sometimes once we see how powerful we are, it gets scary. People are not, and that's the truth. The funny thing is people are not afraid to be wrong. When you're wrong, when you're unsuccessful, when you fail, the pity party comes there and they are telling you, oh, come on, you didn't have the right education, you didn't have the right background, you didn't have the right people supporting you. They give you all the reasons to feel sorry for yourself. So people are not afraid to fail. People are afraid to be right. People are afraid to be successful. Because once you're successful, success requires repetition. Once you're successful, the expectation level goes up. And people now look to you for XYZ. And what does that mean? They give you power. There's an expectation of power. So now there's also an infusion of possibly of fear. Because, and not in a bad way, P.S., by the way, not in a bad way. If we are sincere and authentic in who we are and how much power we have, sometimes we get a little scared that someone is relying on us to take care and fill in for XYZ. And so we get a little bit afraid of the power that we have over certain people. Don't be afraid of the power that you have over certain people. Recognize that they choose to allow you to have that power. See, we don't have to look at power as such a negative thing. Sometimes people look at power as where we really lean toward the abusive definition of it, where somebody takes advantage of you. But power is a wonderful thing. Power is a very helping and healing thing. And so, it's just like, especially I know I hit my sister with this, but you see with grandparents all the time, as well as parents, but I'm skipping to grandparents. Your grandchildren have power over you. Everything they do, oh, isn't that cute? Whereas when your kid used to do it, it drove you crazy. What is the matter with this kid? Who am I raising here? Now that the grandchildren are doing it, it's so cute. So the children have power over you. Recognize who has power over you and enjoy them. Go on. Yeah, Geraldine, and it's so funny. I can see now Geraldine just jumped in, and I see a few of y'all that I know, but Geraldine, she's definitely put 2 smiles up there because I know how her grandchildren are such her life. My sister is ridiculous with it. I know my good friend Gail is. All of you, come on. It's a wonderful thing. Enjoy the power they have of you, because you know what? That power that those grandchildren have of you, that keeps you young. It actually does, because as you start to enjoy child development versus when you were strictly in a parent role and you were having that little bit of doubt in your mind, am I doing this right? Am I, how's this child, am I over disciplining them? Am I being too loose? Am I being too, what's the word? Time's up. Whatever that word is, that when you are, I almost had it again, but it's where you are actually encouraged, oh man, when that word comes back, I'll let you know it, okay? We're going to run out of time. But when we doubt ourselves, when you doubt yourself as a parent, when it's just your child, now, fast forward, look at how well you've done. Look at your kids now. And so that's why we tend to be more forgiving of the grandchildren, because we recognize, you know what, I could have let that go with their mother or father. I was on their mother or father's case about that, and look how well they've done. It was a good thing that I did that, or it's a good thing that I didn't do that. So now that's how we treat the grandchildren. So it's just lesson. It's just another life lesson. Okay, so that's a wonderful thing. God bless you, all you grandparents. Okay, but meanwhile, the line that I really want to point out in that poem was, yet my neighbors are doubt, disbelief, and caution. Let me make sure I didn't same thing I did use. Okay, yeah, I wanted to make sure that I talked about the abuse, overcoming the fear. Be true to yourself. That's the other thing. Be true to yourself and have that compassion. Know that you are not going to abuse your power. That's not who you are. If you're on this broadcast, that's not who you are, okay? It's really that simple. So you are not going to abuse your power. Look for ways to use your power. Remember, use is in the word abuse. And so, let's make use the important part of the word and take the abuse away and use it in a positive way. So trust the decisions that you've made. Try not to have regret. I don't do regret. I've made decisions. And in the process of making decisions, I've made mistakes. But I've learned from the mistakes, and I've tried not to repeat the mistakes. That becomes the key. And then sometimes we fear that we've hurt someone, and then we turn around, and here's the word, I had written it down, and we enable them. That was the word I was looking for earlier. Sometimes we think we've hurt someone, and so now we enable them, and because we say, oh man, I shouldn't have done that, they're really going to hurt their feelings. And now we let them get away with stuff, and we overlook a lesson in discipline that we needed to give them. Hey, you got to take a chance, but if you're true to who you are, you will not permission. No, I just saw that, Irene. But it's enabling, and permission is similar, because if you give someone permission too much, there's a fine line between giving someone permission and enabling them. If we keep saying, how we keep saying, oh, they're going to get over that, they're going to outgrow that. Yeah. Oh, well, they told me they're going to stop using the drugs. They told me they're going to stop drinking. He or she told me they were going to stop being abusive. It's a tough decision that you have to make. And it's a fine line between, we'll use permission or enabling. All right? So that line, here's the line again, that when you get a chance, go and read it. And what is it? Yet my neighbors are doubt, disbelief, and caution, because we're talking about the air up here when in the air in us recognizing how powerful we are. When we know how powerful we are, our neighbors become doubt, disbelief, and caution. And as I consider their comfort, they exhibit more unrest. So in other words, as I look at my neighbors of doubt, disbelief, and caution, I notice that they're pretty comfortable. See, that they're used to us. People, those emotions are used to you doubting yourself and believing that things are not going to work out. So they're pretty comfortable. Hey, you know what? We don't even have to work hard. This person is going to self-eliminate and beat themselves down. Self-deprecating humor is a dangerous thing to have. We constantly want to open up with, well, I'm not as smart as you, but you know what? Who cares about whether or not you're as smart as me? If you've got information that I need, then I need you to share that information. And I'm not going to label that as you being smarter than I am or me being smarter than you because I knew it already. Sometimes I need to hear it again because then that way, affirmation will help me go forward, okay? But, they exhibit more unrest, and I become prone to shut them out. Instead, I invite them up. In other words, once my neighbors of doubt, disbelief, and caution see that I'm feeling good about who I am, now they get worried. They say, wait a minute. We were fine when he didn't believe in himself, but he's starting to believe in himself. We got a problem. We got to come up with some more negative stuff to feed him or her. It's because your mind is working. And so it's looking for some negativity for you to keep yourself down. And so you say, well, no, I'm just going to shut that up. There's no negativity. I'm not going to read the negative posts. I'm not going to watch the news. When you shut the negativity out, you actually give it power. Because again, you have to think about that. When you ignore it, it gets a chance to grow. So that's why I say I invite it up. I invite my negativity up because negativity can't beat me. I won't surrender to it. I will face it. I'll say, yes, this is a shortcoming of mine. Yes, this is a problem of mine. Here's what I'm going to do to overcome it. See, now I'm battling the negativity and it's getting uncomfortable because it knows that in the long run I'm going to win because that's what I do. I'm going to stay positive and I'm going to knock out that negativity. So reread those last lines. Yet my neighbors are doubt, disbelief, and caution, and as I consider their comfort, they exhibit more unrest, and I become prone to shut them out. Instead, I invite them up. Negativity becomes comfortable because it senses and enjoys submission. If you're doing nothing to erase doubt, if you're not trusting your faith, if you're not stepping up on faith, because people talk about stepping out on faith, step up on faith, then you're going to be fine. And don't be in denial. They're not going to get away with it. So my acronym right there is not there. It's HOPE, H-O-P-E, having overpowered evil. Irene, the post is on my page right on the announcement of glue. So you'll see it when you go out of this and you look on my page for the announcement about today's glue session, that you'll see the poem there. So the final poem I'm going to read to you is, I wrote it, now I'm going backwards in my poetry. I wrote this one in 1994, and it's called Powerful Four-Letter Words. Powerful four-letter words. You see, first there's the F word. Second, the S word. Then there's the T word, which is sometimes used as a slang thing that women have and a few men can appreciate. Definitely the D word, closely followed by the C word. Lastly, there's the L word that explains the absence and underuse of the others. The L word, bringing people together for private sharing that can culminate in that church ceremony that brings tears to sensitive eyes. And as we push away from the self-inflicted genocide that shuns the use of these words, our future looks brighter. For we all enjoy the F word, free. Free to create, to speak, to touch, to feel. And we should all feel like the S word every now and then, safe. Safe among our own, to walk and talk and share our innermost dreams. For we need to embrace the T word, trust. Trus. Who cares how you spell it or how you say it? Let's do it to one another more often. Brothers, crave the C word. Care. Care about what's really happening to our young brothers and take a hard stand on the D word. Dare. Dare to help them become men. Men that can lead, men that can last, men that can live, because it is the L word that explains the absence and underuse of the others. The L word, bringing people together for private sharing that can culminate in that church ceremony that brings tears to sensitive eyes. Lust. Lust can kill, and it's a power-sapping four-letter word. And as we push toward the use of powerful four-letter words, our future looks brighter. So even on this Facebook post, repeat after me. Free, safe, trust, care, dare, love. Yeah, I twisted at the end, love. You see, and then I go in the book to say, everyone loves you. But they can't take the time to tell you every day, every hour, every minute, every second, because it's more important that you take the time to love yourself. Get to know yourself and your gift so that you can take your walk of faith with a sense of strength, pride, and confidence that understands the impact your spirit has on each life that you touch. Realize that your success began long before you found out about it. And it continues to flourish as you take advantage of each chance to laugh, grow, live, and share with one another. I'll do the same, and I'll gladly go first. So it's so important to recognize that as we look again at the acronym POWER, that POWER, P-O-W-E-R, stands for Positioning Our Words Elevates Rewards. Positioning our words elevates rewards. And so even if you think about when I introduced the poem, Powerful Four-Letter Words, perhaps we went to the negative and we thought about how we curse and cuss. But that's part of what I enjoy doing with my poetry and my titles. It's what I call giving you your thought, then sharing with you my thought, which now moves us to our thought. And that becomes the key to communication. Once you have an idea and I have an idea, and if they're opposing ideas or separate, now we can at least, we've got some common ground. We say, wait a minute, now I see what you mean. Let's talk about that. Let's explain, let's compare what I was thinking versus what you were thinking, and let's come to a logical conclusion. And that's what do we end up doing? Let's agree with one another. Words are powerful. And as we end our session, we talk about how important it is to recognize the power we have. You've got a lot of power. Recognize, appreciate, and embrace your power. Think about who you have power over. And again, not in a negative way, but in a positive way, because your power is also a good form and a good source of your care and compassion to help them groom their lives in the right way. And then also think about who has power over you, because then that could be who you might want to appreciate, how much they've given you a positive impact on life, how they pulled you out of certain situations, and they're always there for you. They got your back. And then, so unveil that power. Recognize we are all important piece of the puzzle. Medium, small, or large piece of the puzzle. No matter which piece of that puzzle you think you are, without you, the puzzle is incomplete. Powerful four-letter word. So, again, thank you all. I see let me go down the list. That's something I decided to do. By the way, you can always check and refer people. I've learned how to post this on YouTube. So please go to my YouTube station and subscribe. But you don't have to worry about coming to my Facebook page and paging down until you find the glue session. You can go to YouTube and you can look it up under your topic. Hey, Alethea, homegirl, first floor. What's up, David? Welcome back. You're the one that inspired me to go with power. Geraldine, Jackie, yeah, okay, all right, we got, okay, good. So I kind of gave everybody that's on here today, I gave all of y'all a shout out, and I really do appreciate you. So thanks again. I can't, if there was anything that I meant to say, I didn't write it down, so I'm okay with that. But have a wonderful day. have a good minute, repeat dose. Okay, that's what it's all about. Oh, I know what I wanted to say one more time. It's just reminding us that glue. It's not hump day. Wednesday is not hump day. We're not trying to get over. We're dealing with glue. GLUI. GLUE. God's love undoes everything. Let Wednesday be a day that helps you pull it together. And even if your week does not start Monday to Friday, technically on the calendar, Wednesday is the middle. And it pulls the beginning and the end of the week together. So let's not worry about getting over. Let's worry about getting it together and then finding ways to keep it together. I'm glad that I'm able to be one of your sources of keeping it together. You continue to be your main source. Excuse me. Another thing you can do, by the way, if you don't have it, there's an app called XL DJs. It's an app that my sister and a DJ in New York, Lady D. Wells, they have it. You can get online. I have an inspirational message there on Sundays at 12 and then Tuesday mornings at 8. So XLGJ, XL as in like extra large, and then DJs, DJS, like pluraldjs.com online. And then you can also download the app. And it's music 24/7 without the commercial interruption or any kind of news, whether it's alternative or new news. But it's a great station. It's going to grow. So please get it. Thank you so much. God bless you, and I'll see you next week. Ciao. Power!